like to tell you a story, a good story from my childhood when I, at 8 years old, started a cult. I read a book that said that dragons were real. And honestly, that was good enough for me. I believed. I think it was called Dragonology. And, so I purchased my parents purchased these books for me. I purchased all these books for Dragonology. And I read all of it, and I learned their little rune script or whatever. I had this whole thing put together. And then I was convinced that rocks were their dragon eggs, and they wouldn't hatch unless they were on fire. So that was dangerous, but that's not where we're going right now. So I took all these books to school, right? And I start sharing them with my classmates. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but the recess yard is full of dragon eggs and I need your help. Because there were rocks everywhere. My peers, my 7 and 8 year old peers were like, dragon eggs? Really? Tell me more. And I told them everything. I taught them all of like the rune language. I taught them all the different types of dragons, the kinds that were, that were native to our area. I pointed up at clouds and I was like, you see that? That's a dragon. And by God, they believed me. I believed me. And there were probably like 20 to 30 kids from a bunch of different classes that ended up following me. And so these teachers would just be out at recess watching a whole bunch of like 7 and 8 year olds pushing these rocks that were like, we were short, but they were like up to our waist. These were like big rocks for us. And like all of us just like pushing them to the sand pit. I have no idea why they let this go on for as long as it did. And they're like hauling all these rocks to the sand pit, rolling it. And then we get them all there, and I was like, okay, we need to bury this. And they were like, okay, we'll do it. And I was like, awesome. In the meantime, I'm going to come up with sounds for all these dragon letters. And so I created an entire different language, and I taught it to them within 2 weeks. There's a group of like 20 to 37 and 8 year olds digging in the sand pit, like digging deep enough to bury these rocks, all speaking a different language, leaving weird symbols in the sand, and occasionally stopping going, look! Because we were so convinced that there were dragons in the sky, and we'd scatter and be like, they're gonna eat us! After we moved all the rocks and we started to wait for them to hatch. So every recess we'd go out and we'd sit there and I'd read them my Dragonology books. We were basically worshiping these dragons, and I acted as high priestess. It wasn't like 2 to 3 months later, I realized, oh wait, dragons aren't real. But then I was like, school's not gonna be over for another month. Nah, I can fudge it till then. And so for the next month, I just kept acting like I believed the dragons were real. I came up with stories. I gave them lore. I was a little cult leader is what I was. And then summer hit. The very next year, those kids would approach me and they're like, hey, my mom told me that dragons aren't real and that I need to stop speaking the funny language. You got me in trouble all summer long. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, of course dragons aren't real. And they were like, wait, what? I did not take questions. I did not entertain anyone who was trying to tell me how maybe what I did was wrong. But yeah. So that's the time that 8-year-old me had a cult following. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Mwah.